Hi everyone, welcome to WW Designs. My name is Nikki and today I have a very simple but very cute little project we are going to make together. This is one of the items I have to make for my junk journal swap partner, thanks to an Aussie group I am in, and we have made a junk journal, and every month we get given 2 projects we have to make for our partner, and then we get to swap. The initial inspiration for this gorgeous tag comes from G. Kerr. It's an old video and she made hers just with tea-stained paper. I've chosen to do it a little bit differently, and it is a very good scrap busting project. If you want to see all the details about this collab, I have a playlist called Creative Collab Journal. There's all sorts of videos there, and this one will be added to it. So this is a tag, obviously, and there's a special little surprise hidden in a little pocket there, and you'll see what that is when we make it. So very simple. You don't need a lot of supplies. I will show you how easy it can be to make one. So what we do, we start off with a scrap of 12 by 12 scrapbooking paper. We often end up with these scraps. We cut off bits and we end up with bits left off. This is the full 12 inches, or what is it officially in centimetres? I always call them 12 by 12s. Yep, 30 centimetres. And I've cut this one down to 8 centimetres across, or in the other language, let's have a look, 8 centimetres, which is roughly 3 inches. You can make it any size you like. If you're making it for a specific journal, then just judge how big you need it depending on your journal. Mine, of course, is a fairly generous size because we are creating A5 size journals. So the very first thing we have to do is very simple. We cut our piece as wide as we want it, and then we have to fold it in half. And seeing we're playing with glue, how about I get my little mat? Just one moment. Oops-a-daisy, it's upside down. The last thing you want to do is read everything upside down. There we go. Let's pop that down just to protect our work. Now, the next thing we're going to do is create this little bit here. So the one thing you have to remember, if your paper has a directional pattern, you need to think about the front and the back. If yours is just an all-over pattern, well then this technical bit doesn't make any difference. It also doesn't matter which side you cut your hole in. Take your pick, whichever size you would like, because you might want to make it for a specific page or something like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to unfold this again, and I'm keeping in mind this is the section I want to work with. So we're going to flip it over, and we're going to measure roughly about 7.5 centimetres, give or take. This is to help create the pocket. And then we're just going to run ourselves a line here. Doesn't have to be dead straight. The most important thing is that this is going to be where we glue up to, okay? So that's the only reason why I've got that line there. And then I want to have my hole the same side. For some reason, I seem to prefer that. So we're just going to flip it upside down for a minute. And we are going to cut out roughly in the middle. Again, we don't measure, we just do. It's much more fun, and that way you don't get upset if it's not perfect. And of course then before we do any gluing, we're going to ink the edge of this one. Now, the reason why I'm making 2, apart from the fact I thought I would have a go at making mine for my swap partner first, the wonderful lady that organises this group that we're in, honestly, she works her behind off, keeping us all happy and giving us fabulous projects to do. And I noticed when the swap partners for this month's junk journal swap was given out, I noticed she missed out due to the number of people participating. See, some months maybe some ladies don't participate every single month because they might be going away on holidays or something like that. So we obviously did not have even numbers. So I noticed she did not have a swap partner for this month's project. So I decided I am going to make her one because she's delightful, and it's so sad that she's missing out. So I am making an extra one to send to her. Now, tiny bit more. We're almost done here. There we go. Now, the lady that I'm actually swapping with, her request was for vintage and pink. So I think I've hit the mark there with that one. And our organizer she's doing sort of natural, bit botanical, sort of, you know, butterflies, bees, birds, all that sort of thing. So I thought this was a delightful background for her. Now let me just pop that back on there. So now the next thing we have to do is we have to do some gluing. And what we're going to do is we are going to run our glue just above our line, because all of this can be glued down. And then the other thing we're going to do is just run a tiny bit of glue along this edge, and that will make our pocket. We don't have to worry about gluing that down there. It's going to be just fine. So all we do is now flip this over and gently press that down. And so what we've done, hidden inside, we've stopped our glue, so we now have a pocket. How easy is that? And that way there's no added on pockets or anything like that. This is a really, really simple project that anybody can manage. So just let that sit there for a minute. But what we're going to do, I decided, because this pattern is now upside down, I'm just going to add a bit of paper. It makes a bit of additional, or makes some journaling space. This is grid paper. You can probably barely see the grid on it, but I bought these notebooks from Daiso. It had grid paper and it had lined paper, already this craft colour. So just by gently inking the edges, you've got vintage looking paper for zero effort. I like that. So I'm just going to use my glue stick for this, because this paper is thin. So if we use my, oops-a-daisy, if I use my heavier duty glue, it may just all get a bit wrinkly. So I'm going to keep things simple. And honestly, how about you behave yourself, paper? Thank you very much. And we're just going to glue this down. That way, look, we're not covering all the upside downedness, but, oh, that's my new word for the day. We're going to at least cover some of it. We've got a bit more journaling space, and you just, yeah, look, you could stamp, add more decoration if you want to the back, but I'm keeping it relatively simple, especially for beginners. We don't always have to get too elaborate, but if you want to, you are more than welcome to. Now, of course, silly me, I have inked my edges, but now I'm going to have to re-ink because I forgot to do this first, but that's okay. That's a quick fix. So I usually just cut my tag edges this way. It's simple and they end up relatively even, but again, we are not too concerned about that. There we go. Now let me just quickly fix these two bits here. There we go. Done. All right. So now that is the basis of our tag. We're going to add a little bit of decoration. All I did was get some old book page and some music page, and I've inked the edges. And just to save some time, I've already prepped those pieces ready to pop down on here. I'm sure you all know how to ink an edge now. And I am using Vintage Photo. But again, use whatever you have. I mean, we just all like using the brown tones for this. And then we just pop that down there. Again, these pages are on the thinner side, so I am just using my Uhu glue. It sticks so well. And it doesn't wrinkle up thin paper. So there we go. Now we just add that one in over to the right. Then for this image here, and I've got another one here, this is a free download from the Art Scavenger. I have printed this out on matte photo paper, so it's thicker. So I'm going to use my favourite tiger glue for this one. Just gently adding a little bit in. Again, don't have to be too concerned. We just want it to stick down. There we go. And I thought these botanical prints looked absolutely gorgeous. There we go. And I'm going to add a little butterfly. Again, this is a freebie from Cara Brandon. And I need my tweezers. Oops. What I love with this freebie, she put a cream edge around it. Honestly, absolutely love it. Because you can fussy cut, but you don't have to be too fussy because it has a cream edge. I wish more people would do that. I find that very agreeable. Now, the one thing I don't have, this is from the same freebie sheet as this. Just realised I don't have another one of those. So what? Oh, hang on. What about? Could tack that little label on there, or I could find. So wait a minute. Hang on. Look what I've got here. How about we chop this one out? That will do. This is also from that same freebie. Excellent. This has a nice dark edge, so I don't have to bother inking it. All I have to do is chop around the edges. We like those, nice and simple. Okay, there we go. Should have done this before, but I forgot. Sorry, guys. I do try and prep as much as I can in advance just to try and make my videos not too long. I know everyone's time is very precious. Okay. Perfect. And we're just going to plop that right there. Done. And that is the front taken care of. Now we have to make the cute little thing for in here. Now you could just put a tag in there. You can put in whatever you like. But this is just a tiny little bit more elaborate than that. Just pop the lid on that for a moment. What we've got here is a piece of cardstock. Again, this is another scrap, which I have cut small enough to fit in my pocket. So if you're going to try and do the same measurements as mine, my scrap is about 12.25 centimetres, give or take, because this is the size scrap I had, and 5.5 centimetres, or in inches, just a tiny bit more than 4 3/4, and just shy of 2.5. Again, this is not a perfect science. We don't have to get too stressed about the exact size as long as it's going to fit into our pocket. You could, of course, make this considerably bigger because you've got a little bit more space to play with. But this is the scrap I had, so why not use it up? Then on the inside, we're going to add another pocket. So I've cut this little scrap, I've rounded the corner, and I have inked up the edges. And what we're going to do is we're just going to put a little bit of glue down the 3 sides. And it's easy to remember which one is your bottom one because we've got the rounded corner. But again, if you didn't do that, it's easy just to pop it in and not bother even about the rounded corner. But I am having one of those. So now we've created another tiny little pocket inside. How cute is this? Now, just let that dry just for a minute. And inside, you need a little goodie. This is also from the same freebie from Cara Brandon, seeing I had the sheet printed out. And we're just going to stick that in there. But I might actually, let's let that dry for a minute before we go trying to shove it full. Then we're going to put a tiny bit of decoration on the front. Now, I found this in my stash. I thought a bee would be a very cute addition. Seeing we're doing the botanically, animally type arrangement here. I liked this little bee. I've inked around the edges of that too. And I'm not going to bother with a book page underneath because you've got the type on there. And then on the bottom, well, you know, you cut off the strip at the bottom of a 12 by 12. This was on the bottom of one of them. And I thought, oh, look, why don't I just use that? So a little bit of glue. There we go. Perfect. All right, now we should be okay here to pop that in. Oh, that just fits. I think it's a tiny bit too long to go this way, or does it fit in? Yeah. Actually, it should be all right because I know my pocket is pretty generous because I do prefer that. And then just for fun, I've cut out a tiny circle and I'm going to use that as my tab. Now, it's probably a bit more decorative than practical, but I think it looks really cute. So we're just going to cut that in half. And then we're going to, let's see, which side do we want? No, we're going to have this side on show. So we put that one down there. Let's just move this out of the way. We're going to add some glue. And then we will open this up and we're going to pop that down sort of, you know, central would be nice-ish, sort of something like that. Again, we're not getting paranoid about exact measurements because that drives us all nuts. And then we're going to put a tiny bit more glue on this side. And flip it over using my tweezers because it's tiny and I want to mold it to exactly where I want that. And there we have a very cute little tab. You could use a little piece of, I think she used a little piece, tiny little snippet of ribbon on hers. But I thought that looked really cute. So now all we have to do is, I really should let this dry, I think, just for a minute before I slip it in there. But as you can see, in it goes. And we now have our cute little, yes, I will not put it fully in there until it is dried. We'll just let that sit up there for a minute. And then the one I made for this one, if I can pull this out, inside I cut down a tag because this had the butterfly on it and I thought that made a lovely match. And I had this cute little scrap left over. If I can just pick it up. I was thinking I might glue that onto there for this one because I thought the colours sort of all seem to work. So we're just going to add a bit of glue and pop this down here. Again, use whatever you want up the top here. You could make, see, another thing I was going to do was cut 2 circles and just the same as I've done here, except not cut them in half. And I was just going to put that up the top just for something different. But then I noticed this little scrap and I thought, oh, I think I might use you. I think that looks really cool. It's a little bit different for the top of that. And so now we have our tag all done. Journaling space on the back. And this should, yeah, I think this should be okay. Now we can just tuck that away into its little spot. Maybe leave a tiny bit hanging out just for fun. And we're all done. Now that's a very, very simple project, but it looks really cool. You can tuck anything in there, but I liked the idea of this little tiny mini folder with a cute bit of piece of ephemera in there. And that's it. We're all done. Nice and simple, but very effective, very pretty. I love this project. So if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments box below and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. And if you're not already a subscriber, I would love it if you would follow along for all things paper crafting. Until next time, stay safe and stay healthy. Bye for now.